Welcome to Season 3 of the Predator Podcast. On this podcast, we'll talk about all things predator hunting. If you're a predator hunter or wanting to become one, you're in the right place. Here's your host, Drew Schlim.
All right, guys, back for another episode of the Predator Podcast. We are back on episode 4, and I got an awesome guest on today, and I'm excited to share with you guys some information that Jamie from Dark Knight has to share with us. As you guys know, if you've been a listener or have ever been around me, you know that I have a great partnership with Dark Knight Outdoors, and Jamie's going to give us all the inside scoop of all the new Nocpix stuff, some new stuff that you need to know coming from Dark Knight Outdoors. And we're going to kind of fill you in on all the details of what you need to know about the new stuff coming out. So, Jamie, thanks for joining me tonight.
Drew, thank you very much for having us on. I really appreciate all you do for us, and it's great to be back.
Awesome. Well, guys, we won't make you wait around and give you any boring stories about what me and Jamie have been doing, but here is Jamie, and he's going to give us a rundown of what exactly is Nocpix, because I know there's been a lot of questions. What is Nocpix? Who are they? What are they about? And Jamie's going to shake that all out for you right here.
Sounds good. Yeah, we've been what we've been doing is playing with a lot of the new scopes that have come out, particularly from Nocpix, and really enjoying them. They've really kind of knocked it out of the park here. So, wanted to talk a little bit about that today and kind of give everybody an idea of who Nocpix is. It is another brand new brand out there. I know there's a lot of thermal companies that are all starting up, and you're hearing all kinds of new different brand names out there, but who Nocpix is, and Nocpix is spelled Nocpix. Get a lot of Nick Pix or variations of the name, but it's Nocpix, Nocpix, and they are actually owned and serviced by IRA USA right here in Texas. So they are in the U.S., but all of their product is made by Infrared in China. So it's the same company that IRA USA that you're used to. It's the same quality. All the great brands that are out there, like Rix and so forth. A lot of the bearing optics products, all made by Infrared, and so it's a very good quality product overall. And a lot of people are asking, well, why is iRay coming out with a new name? Well, we don't really know for sure, but it is another brand that they can cover a wider variety of products under, and it's also a maybe a way for them to get out from underneath the iRay name. I don't know that for sure, but I know Infrared would probably prefer to keep their name to themselves and kind of go from there. But the great thing about the Nocpix product is it is a 5-year warranty with the 5-day replacement guarantee. And what that replacement guarantee is if you do, forbid, have to send it in to for repair or what have you, when you send that scope in, it will only be there for 5 days. If after the 5-day period they can't repair it, they will send you a brand new scope at no charge. So again, where the warranty is very important to me is, if I got a customer that has to send a scope in because it won't power on or what have you, I want to make sure that they're taken care of, and then they can get it back right away and not eat any more into their season, like some of the other companies out there, not mentioning names, but some of them are taking upwards of a month to a month and a half to get
Right.
product back in the hands of their customers. I don't know, have you ever had to send one in, Drew?
Yeah, I have. And yeah, I've sent in actually a few over my time with thermals, and I've find it hard to go away from the 5 days, because like for me, a month and a half or 2 months is almost my whole like hard what I would quote unquote call season. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean we've got some people down in Missouri too, like that is their whole season is two
yeah,
months. And there's nothing worse than spending a couple $1,000 or $4 or $5,000 on a product that you can't get service on and can't get answers quickly and go from there. I've always said, the warranty is only as good as the company that stands behind it. And
right,
iRay, man, I tell you, they really knock it out of the park. And I know that they are getting a lot more product out there in the marketplace. And I've had a few people say that they've called and maybe not gotten a response right away or what have you. But one thing I can tell you is that you can always, reach out and lean on us as, your dealer to, take care of any of those issues. And if you're having problems getting service, you can always reach out to us, and we can get our rep involved and get you taken care of quickly and easily that way. And that's one of the best benefits of buying, from a reputable dealer out there in the marketplace. So
right, yep,
yeah. And so really Nocpix, what they've come out with for their starting lineup is the new Ace. The Ace is a or a tube style scope, if you will. And they've also got the Vista, which is a handheld. And then they've got the Lumi series, which is a more compact series of handheld monocular. And then they've got the Slim as well. And the Slim is kind of a new, unique one that we'll talk about. Kind of the first two-in-one monocular slash scope in a quick and easy setup there. And so forth. So they've got a really nice lineup that has been imported. One of the questions we do get a lot is, when is the Lumi 60 millimeter going to come out? Well, that's not one that they've decided to import. If you get on Nocpix's website right now, you will see some other products that they do have out there in, say, Europe or some of the other countries out there. But was not ones that was, chosen to be imported, at least at this time. Right now, we don't really know if there's going to be any of those coming in or released in the future. I would hope maybe that some of them will, because there is a 1280 Ace out there. But the one thing is that iRay's really been listening to is what the consumers want and what they need out of these scopes. And one of the things is a little bit stronger base mags. And that 1280 unit that they have in other countries is it's a lower base mag. It's only a 2X. So
right,
um,
yep,
and I think, I mean, Drew, I know, you predator hunt primarily, and we do a little bit of predator hunting, and then we go down to Texas for some hog hunting and so forth. And, that wider base mag, if you're down in Texas, is great. But I also don't know that you need, the highest resolution sensor for only shooting, 50 to maybe 150 yards,
right,
so
yep,
it's part of the reason why they just decided not to bring that one in at this time and kind of go from there. But a lot of these new scopes and these monoculars, they're sharing a lot of common features that all of the scopes have. And over the times, I still get questions. Hey, does this record? Does it record audio? Does it have different color palettes? Well, those are things that all thermals today have in them. But there's also some additional features from the most common things that Nocpix has built into their scopes. And I wanted to go through those just a little bit real quick because they've got some really nice features. One of them is the RAV, or recoil activated video recording. And what that is it's when you activate that, it works like a DVR. Okay. So it's
yep,
always recording and then when it feels the recoil from a shot, it's going to take so many seconds before and so many minutes after, and give you a nice little clip of your of maybe like a kill shot or what have you. And Drew, I don't know if you're like me or not, but I always forget to hit the record button. I'm
Yeah.
terrible. And the worst thing is with me being in the business, everybody's always asking for videos, and I'm like, man, I always forget to hit the record button. So that activated video is really nice.
Yeah.
Um,
It is.
have you ever used a scope with that activated video?
Well, the L3 has it, and I like that.
Yes.
So I have the Bolt 50. Obviously, that does not have it. So I've gotten really good at hitting record. That's one of the first things that I do, and I've actually missed shots because I'm trying to record everything. But my
Sure.
dad just got that L3, and we had, he's never recorded anything ever, and he got the video of the one he shot at the other night. So that was
Oh,
awesome. It
awesome.
made it
Yeah.
super easy for him.
Yep. So once again, like the two the scopes that they have out right now, I mean, they all have that recoil activated recording, and that's a super nice feature. And early on, back 5 6 years ago, we were using some thermals that actually had video playback in them as well too, where you could actually record something or take a still photo and go back right inside the scope and play it back. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like a lot of the scopes that have came out the last 3 4 years, it kind of disappeared. It just wasn't a feature that was in any of these scopes. And now with the Nocpix stuff, that is back, and you can actually watch your videos right inside the scope. It's got a playback feature in it,
Yep.
and I do find it pretty handy if you are out in the field and you take a shot on a coyote, and you miss, you can always go back and see where did that bullet hit, and hopefully it is a smaller screen, of course, but hopefully you can see where it hit, or what you might have done to miss that shot, and go from there. So it is helpful even in the field, and hopefully you can correct whatever mistake you made. And if you feel like you're really off and you really shouldn't have been that far off, maybe you need to go check your zero before
Yep.
you make another stand and go from there. So
Yep.
that's again, really nice feature. All of the scopes have multiple color palettes, like your standard white hot, black hot, red hot, and maybe like a fusion, and go from there. But the the really cool thing that Nocpix has come out with, and iRay has as well too in some of their newer scopes, is what they call the no thermal eye color palettes. And what that no thermal eye color palette is, and I guess really talk about what thermal eye is. But anybody that stared through a thermal for any period of time at all out in the dark and then take your eye out of it, it takes a long time for your eye to adjust, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And get back to where you can see. And for me personally, you do that over and over and over throughout the night, it gives you a headache. Or it can give you a headache. It affects some people differently, but for me, it definitely does give me a headache after a period of time. And these new color palettes, what it does is it actually puts a little bit dimmer shade across the screen. One of my favorites is the Viridian, and the Viridian is a green color, makes it look like the old night vision, if you will, the old green night vision.
Yep.
And when you pull your eye out, it just your eye adjusts a lot quicker because there's not as bright of a screen, and it doesn't dilate your eyes near as far, and have to have your eyes dilating in and out constantly, and go from there. So it's really a pretty cool deal. Not only is there a Viridian, there's a Crimson, which is a red, and then there's I believe a violet. The one that to me is my favorite is the Viridian. And when you look at that Viridian through any of the scopes or the monoculars, If you do it inside, you ain't going to see a whole lot other than a green screen, right?
Yeah.
But if you
Yep.
get it out there in the open and start using it, it's really pretty nice. And so that's a really cool feature that all the Nocpix items have in it. I know like the iRay TX60C, the RH50Rs, the RL42R, they all have it in it as well, but it's kind of a newer thing, and all of these scopes do have it in there
Yep.
already. Even if you're buying just a monocular, it's got it. I think it's more important in the monocular than it
Yep.
is even in the scope, because you're going to be, if you have a monocular, you're going to be in that monocular 95% of the time. You're going to
Yeah.
jump into your scope just to line up the shot and pull the trigger. I would assume you're using a monocular, aren't you, Drew?
Yeah. I just got the finder. So,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I I guess I didn't play with the colors. I just used it today for the first time. So I did not play with the colors. I left it on white hot. We had a coyote come in, recorded a nice video, but I did not play with color palettes yet. So I will
Yeah.
have to get on that.
Well, and I'm not sure that the Finder does have a, I don't believe it does. I don't believe it has the no thermal eye color palettes in it. That would be the iRay Finder, but the Vista and the Nocpix Vista and the well, basically all the Nocpix stuff has it in it. And go from there. But another really cool feature that they have added is Reality Plus image enhancement, and it's this AI. Everybody hears AI everywhere anymore, but it's an artificial intelligence that helps the computer to enhance the image quality and remove noise from the thermal sensor, which is going to give you a lot better image quality overall. The beautiful thing about Reality Plus is that it doesn't slow down the processing of the image from what reality is to what you see on the screen. So it's a very, very fast product that does a really nice job to give you that little extra edge on the image enhancement and give you the best picture possible. The other thing too with all of the Nocpix products, and I think even iRay started this back with even the Bolt 640 and the RH50Rs, but they're putting the larger diopter lens at the back of the scope. So that's the side that you look into, so you can more easily see the screen. And it also gives you a lot better eye relief on your scopes. So if you move around or you don't get perfectly centered behind it, you can still see the screen really well. So that's a really nice, when you look into the back of like a Nocpix, for example, or even the Bolt TX60C versus a Pulsar Thermion, the diopter lens, it's amazing how much bigger it is, and just much more comfortable viewing of the screen, and kind of go from there.
Right. Yep.
Um, but yeah, in kind of getting diving right into one of the best products that they've come out with is the new Nocpix Ace. And it's called an Ace, ACE. H50R is the model number of it. It is a 3x by 50 millimeter 640 by 512 scope. It is a tube style scope. It's not the compact, it's the longer scope. So kind of talk a little bit about the longer scopes versus the compact scopes. Your tube style scopes or your longer scopes are going to work very well on a bolt gun and an AR. They'll
Yep.
work either way, right?
Yep.
If you're going on a bolt gun, be aware that your length of pull on most bolt guns is going to be longer, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get the proper eye relief unless you have a longer scope to get back closer to you. Now your compact style scopes, they work perfectly fine on an AR because you've got the ability to adjust the length of pull, and you can go for that smaller, more compact style scope, which is not a problem. But when you go to try to put that smaller, compact style scope on a bolt rifle, you're really going to have to try to shove your head up in there. It makes it
Yep.
very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
So that's the nice thing about the tube scopes. Again, tube scopes are more universal. Um, you know, there are a lot of people out there though that buy their first thermal and they may or may not want to, in the future upgrade their scope and use their um, compact style scope as a monocular, which you can absolutely do. Very, very hard to make a tube style scope, into a monocular. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
So
that would be odd.
yeah, exactly. So even just being able to focus it and hold it would just be awkward as all get out. So, there's positives and negatives with everything that we do in the thermal world, and the best that we can do for you is just kind of talk and walk everybody through what the positives and negatives are, so that you can best decide what makes a great scope for you. But getting back to this Nocpix Ace, this thing has the industry's first lens integrated laser rangefinder. Um, Now, when we talk about a lens integrated laser rangefinders, right now there's about two different styles of laser rangefinders on the market. It's either you get one that's built in, like your RH50Rs or what have you, or you get a one that's a removable laser rangefinder that you can add on to the scope at a different time, and it connects via Bluetooth and displays your information right on the screen and so forth. But or now we've got the laser rangefinder that's actually integrated into the front lens. There's tons of advantages to this. The built-in laser rangefinders, when you've got the box off to the side, it still tends to have a cross when the beam goes out. So
Yep.
you've got a very straight laser beam that goes out, but when it crosses a certain threshold of where it's aiming, it then is off to one side or the other, and it's kind of
Yep.
the cross of the laser beam that's going out. And the further you get that off center, the more trouble that you have aligning it to get it not to have that cross, and basically what it leads to is some inaccurate readings, and it can get very annoying. By moving the laser rangefinder to the center of the lens, or really close to the center of lens, you have a lot less opportunity for margin of error, and you're going to get a lot more accurate readings. Not to mention, you don't have a box hanging on the outside of it. You don't have a removable laser rangefinder that a lot of people feel like they could bump off center,
Yep.
or it's just hanging out there. It's not going to snag on a case when you go to put the thing away. You're not going to catch it on the door frame as you're putting it in and out of the truck, or what have you.
Yeah.
It's integrated right into the front, and the cool thing is you close your lens cap, the whole thing's covered. You got your laser rangefinder covered, you got your front lens covered, everything's safe, right? So that's a really, really cool feature of that. And then, of course, with the laser rangefinder, it also does have the ballistics calculator. If you want to program in the ballistics of your bullet, and go from there, it does have the ballistics calculator in it. This particular scope also has the 2560 by 2560 round display in it. And that is, the same display as what the iRay Bolt 640 has.
Yep.
Have you ran one of the Bolt 640s, Drew?
Yep. That's what I still have.
And do
Yep.
you like that round display in there?
I
Is
love
that
their own display.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, and I do too. Once you get used to the round display, it's really hard to give it up. And when we start talking numbers and so forth, like the 2560 by 2560 round display, to be honest with you, the easiest way to explain that is it's 2.5 times the clarity of most other screens out there in the market. So
Yep.
again, kind of what that does for us is it allows you to finite tune your scope in a little bit closer to center, because you've got so many more lines of resolution per square inch.
Right.
um, and really it doesn't do much to enhance the image, the thermal image, But what people don't realize is that all of your overlays, and what the overlays are is like your crosshair, the information that you see on the screen, that's all information that's overlaid over the top of the thermal image. And when you have all those really small numbers and the small information, the icons, so on and so forth, when you have a 2560 by 2560 display, it makes all of that stuff so much more crystal clear and easier to read. Not only that, I like to kind of describe it like if anybody's seen the real old rear projection screens, it was the original large screen TVs that came out, and it was that old rear projection. It was like when you sat right in the center of the screen, you could see the whole screen pretty well. But you move just a little bit off to the left or a little bit off to the right, it'd get really blurry on you, right? Because you were
Yep.
actually looking at a very low resolution screen that was really large. So you started to kind of look at the side of the LEDs versus straight at it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
With a 2560 by 2560 display, you are a lot more free to move your eye in, out, around, and still be able to see crystal clear through the display. So that 2560 by 2560 display, not only being very expensive to produce, but it really is, because you're staring at that screen all the time. It is really, really nice to have that extra clear display. Going to make your reticles a lot sharper. Everything all the way around the horn. So, and this has got that in there with a 60 hertz refresh rate. So some of the newer scopes like your RH50Rs starting to come out now with 60 hertz refresh rates. It is just simply that. It's most thermals out on the market are a 50 hertz, but the 60 hertz, it just refreshes that much faster. Right.
Yep.
It's going to give you a more true to life picture of what's actually going on out there. Like I said, it's just got that faster refresh rate. So when you watch a lot of these videos, you will see a whole lot of people leading coyotes that are running, and they have to lead them quite a ways, and it's because there is that split second delay in what is reality versus what you're actually seeing on the screen. You speed that up to a 60 hertz refresh rate, and now all of a sudden, you don't have to lead them as far. You can keep your crosshair more on the animal, and it actually gives you a lot better chances of success of hitting one on the run. So
Yep.
that's a great feature with that 60 hertz refresh rate. And they've got the net D or millikelvin rating all the way down to a 15 on this. Now, your net D rating it's a combination of the lens that they use, the quality of the lens, the processor, your base magnification plays a part in this, and it's really a combination of all of those things that gives you your millikelvin rating. And the lower millikelvin rating that you get, the better that particular scope is going to perform in adverse weather conditions. And what I mean by adverse weather conditions, rain, snow, sleet, fog. Fog's a big one. As everybody that has experience with thermals know, is humidity is the kryptonite for
Yep.
thermals, right?
That's what I was just gonna say, was humidity. Yep.
Yep, exactly. So, and a lot of people say, well, how much humidity? And it really varies, but it anything over 80% humidity, a scope with a higher millikelvin rating of say 40 or 50 is not going to be able to be seen through very clearly at all, and probably going home, because you're not going to be able to see through your scope very well. The image gets very hazy and kind of unbearable to work with. But the lower the millikelvin rating, the more that scope will cut through all of those adverse weather conditions, and really anything humidity wise that's above 80%. Well, I know, Drew, for you in Wisconsin and me here in Illinois, there's not too many nights that you don't go out that you're not above 80%. So you want to
Right.
make sure that you've got a really good millikelvin rating, and they've got these things all the way down to a 15, which is just unbelievable. You're going to have just such a great looking image all the time with the scope. So one of the ways that they actually get there is they've actually got the f-stop on the lens on and then we're talking about the objective lens here, which is made out of germanium. That germanium lens is at a zero point 0.9 f-stop, and what the f-stop is it's a rating of how much light, if you will, or radiation, because heat is
Yep.
radiation, that passes through the lens. And each zero point 0.1 reduction gives you a 20% better light transmission and performs better. Obviously, gives you that lower millikelvin rating, which again helps you in those adverse weather conditions. But again, this one is down to a zero point 0.9, and it is the lowest or the clearest lens that we've seen in a thermal to date, or at least in a mass production style scope. Most of your scopes out there are at a 1.0, and some of them even at a 1.1, which, if you kind of think about that, that's a 40% reduction from a zero point 0.9 to a 1.1 lens. It's a 40% reduction in light transmission through there, and you know you're not going to have a very good image just right there alone. So, really cool feature there. And then, the other great thing about this Nocpix Ace is that the ocular magnification that you have probably seen or heard of on the Rix L3 and the Rix L6, um, uh, that has come to this scope as well. So it's already a little bit of a proven technology, and we'll talk about the magnification on these a little bit. But you've got a couple different forms of magnification now, and there's really about three different ways you can do it. You can actually do what they call field of view adjustment, which is an actual lens that you change on, and you don't have to change it physically, it changes inside the scope. But it's called a dual field of view, is what it is. And that is all optical changes. So let's hypothetically say you have like the old Ricoh Pro. The Ricoh Pro, you can adjust the lens on the front of it. When you do, it would be either a 1.5 base magnification or maybe a 3.0 base magnification, depending on how you turn it. But
Yep.
you retain all your lines of resolution from the sensor. Let's just hypothetically say you got a 640 by 512. You're going to be 640 by 512 at 3.0, or 3x base mag, or 3 power, if you will, and also 1.5 or 1.5 power. So you get the best of both worlds there. You can have that really wide field of view with 640 resolution, or you can have that really good resolution at distance with the 3x. Um, so when you talk about that, that is the best magnification that you get because you lose virtually nothing, right? Um,
Yep.
then you've got your digital magnification, which is kind of on the other end of the scale, right? And everybody that has got thermal experience has taken their scope and they've made it, they've used the digital magnification. When you do that, if you go from a 1x to say a 2x, it's going to reduce your image quality by half. So if you're in a 640, you're going to drop all the way down to a 320 by just doing that, and that really starts to pixelate out the screen, pretty bad. With the ocular magnification, and I've kind of call it the hybrid optical magnification, what you get there is you're going to end up with um, it's kind of the best of both worlds. But what it's doing is it's going to zero in on the screen or zoom in on the screen, and that makes it significantly better because you're not actually digitizing the image itself. So when you talk about ocular magnification, when you zero in on the screen, you're not going to have it fall apart near as much, if that makes sense.
Yep. No, 100% makes sense to me, but I've used so this is like comparable to the Rix L3 and L6 correctly, the zoom.
Absolutely. So your magnification is backed by your eye, and you
Yep.
just rotate a ring, and it's going to go from 1 to 3x of what your base magnification is. So the base magnification on this one is a 3 power. You can actually go from 3 to 9 power and have all basically ocular magnification, which you're just zeroing in on the screen. What does make this one a little bit better than say your L3 or your L6 is that you're zeroing in on a 2560 by 2560 display, which is going to hold that image together even better
Right.
than the L3 and the L6.
Yep, that
So
makes sense.
it's really amazing when you do go and magnify that. And I've always kind of said if you have a scale of 1 to 10, one being the worst with a digital magnification, 10 being the best with optical magnification. It's kind of like, where does this ocular magnification fall? I feel that it falls like at about a 7. It's not quite as good as optical magnification, but it is definitely significantly better than your digital magnification. Um, Another great feature that they've kind of pulled, if you will, from some of the other scopes that are out there on the market. And really what they've done with this Nocpix Ace is they've robbed all the best parts out of the iRay Bolt 640, which is the TH50C V2, or the Leap L6 and the RH50R. They took all the best parts of that, built it into this tube style scope, and that's what the Nocpix Ace H50R is. Again, it's just a fantastic scope, and I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy this one, especially coming in at that price point of the 54.95. It is on a little bit on the higher end of the scale, but for everything that you get with this scope, it is just a beautiful piece of equipment. So again, that's kind of the Nocpix Ace H50R, and kind of go from there. So I'm sure, Drew, you're probably kind of anxious to maybe get a chance to use this hunting and go from there. So
Yeah, I need to. I haven't actually seen any of these yet. I know Jamie's only had them for a few weeks, and I haven't made it down there to take a see through all these. But yeah, I'm itching to definitely get a look at all of them.
yeah, yeah, and we'll probably get you into something a little bit better than a Bolt 640, and maybe upgrade you to this Nocpix Ace, and kind of go from there. But there is another one that I want to talk about, which is a really cool addition to the thermal world that nobody else has on the market right now today, and that is the Nocpix Vista. The Vista is a kind of a tubular handheld um, thermal monocular. It is a 50 millimeter lens, so a little bit larger lens than most of your monoculars out there on the market. It is a 4x base mag, and it is a 640 by 512 image resolution. So, this what's really cool about this monocular, once again, kind of an industry first out there with the integrated laser rangefinder right in the front lens. So it's got a laser rangefinder on it, and it is integrated into the front lens just like the Nocpix Ace is. Not only that, it's the first monocular that I'm aware of that has the 2560 by 2560 round display in it that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So again, really nice large display with that 10 millimeter diopter lens on the back of it for being able to view easily through it. Again, this one has that zero point 0.9 f-stop lens in the front of it. It is all the way down to a 15 millikelvin, and it's a 60 hertz refresh rate. Um, just adding to the super clarity of what this monocular is. Not only that, iRay has come up with a different battery pack system than what they've had in the past. And it does come with two batteries. They are removable. They are a proprietary battery, but it is the same style as some of the other scopes out there on the market where you can plug right into the side of the battery and go from there. But the run time should be really good. I have not had a chance to personally test one from a full battery to completely out yet. But I'm anticipating that you get somewhere in that 5 to 6 hour range out of a battery, and it does come with two of them. So
Yeah.
easily removable. You can remove them out in the field. There's no chance of, with the proprietary battery, putting it in backwards or anything crazy like that. Only goes in one way. The battery itself does have four little LED indicators on it, so you can see, how much charge is left when you have the battery pack outside the monocular, and you got it plugged in and charging, and go from there. So this Nocpix Vista, another really cool thing, comes with a case. Most thermal scopes today come in a case, but now they're starting to make these cases so you can double them up and use them as a kind of like a bino pack, but it's a monocular. So we'll call it a mono pack for lack of
Yep.
better words. Um,
Yep.
but it does come with the straps to be able to do that. It's like a harness that you can put it around, have it like right on your chest, and easily be able to move it in and out. They've also got, it also comes with a nice lanyard that you can click into it if you would prefer to just run the lanyard style and go from there. So super easy to operate. I got to tell you, this unit for $34.95 is absolutely the best bang for the money out there in the market right now today. I've actually had a couple customers that have come by. That was really interested in the new TX monocular, I'm sorry, binocular from Pulsar, and that is a 1280 unit. Um, so it was definitely what this guy was looking for, is a super clear either binocular or monocular. And he was able to hold up a little bit until we got the Nocpix Vistas in, and he compared them side by side. Now we're talking about an $8,000 binocular that doesn't even have as many features as what the Nocpix Vista does for $34.95. He left with the Nocpix Vista.
Yep.
He was that impressed with it. He's like, literally, even if the other one had just a minute amount of better clarity to it, he's like, I probably would have went the other way, even though it was literally $4,000 more. He's like, I probably still would have went that way because I like super clear optics. And he's like, but I just can't see any difference. And a 640 by 512 with that 4x base mag. Obviously, it's going to get you out there a little bit further with that 640. But with that 50 millimeter lens, I got to tell you, it's got an amazing field of view to it as well too. So
Right.
some people get a little scared of that 4x base mag just because they're like, wow, it's not going to have. I got to tell you, it's not that hard to turn your head to scan, but also with that 50 millimeter lens in there, I was very impressed with the field of view and everything that you can see with this.
Yep.
Again, it does have all the new color palettes in it, the no thermal eye color palettes. Again, you're going to be in your monocular most of the time. I love to have a really nice clear monocular specifically for that reason, because like I said, 95% of the time you're out in the field, that's what you're going to be using.
Yep.
And it's great to have a really nice clear um, scope and go from there. So now they did also come out with a um, monocular that is no laser rangefinder for those that don't really care to have a laser rangefinder in their monocular. And it's called the Nocpix Lumi, and it's Lumi. It's the Nocpix Lumi monocular. They've got actually two versions of this monocular. It's an L35, which is a 384 by 288. and they've got the H35. The L is for the 384. The H is for the 640. 35 stands for a 35 millimeter lens. Your 384 is a 4x base mag, and your 640 is a 2.5 base mag. The 384 comes in at 1699, and the H35, the 640, comes in at 2199. Now, this is a little bit more of a maybe not so cutting edge technology, but they put a really good sensor in it. They
Yep.
put it is only 50 hertz refresh rate. Um, I will tell you, between the 50 and the 60 hertz refresh rate, um, there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of debate whether the human eye can see any more than 50 hertz. But I will tell you, in my personal experience, I do, when I look through a 50 hertz, I can see a little bit of a flicker to the screen. When I look through the 60, I don't see any flicker whatsoever. Um,
Right.
and that is, to me, I really have come to fall in love with that 60 hertz refresh rate. Um, they're not the first ones to the market with it, obviously. There's some older scopes out there that have that 60 hertz refresh rate, but they've really not improved the sensors in those very much. So that's where these really outshine everything else out there in the market. And this does come in with a 20 millikelvin rating, not quite as good as the Nocpix Vista, but still a very, very respectable net D rating of sub 20 millikelvins. Okay, these Lumis, they're small, they're lightweight, they fit in the hand. If you lift your hand up and make like a backward C with your hand, that's the orientation that it kind of fits in your hand nice and comfortably. They do run off of 18650 batteries, comes with two of them. The Nocpix Vista, a little bit larger of a unit, but it also has a lot larger battery pack in it as well. Now, along comes with all of that is the weight. And again, earlier in the we were talking about, with every positive there's a negative, right? So the negative, once again, is you go smaller, that's the advantage, but you lose a little bit of battery power. The nice thing with this Nocpix Lumi is you can literally just flip a lever on the back of it, trap door comes open, you can pop your battery out, shove another one in, and away you go. Right? 18650 batteries. They're a dime a dozen. Everybody's got them.
Yep.
They're cheap. Even if you buy the factory ones, you're looking anywhere from $20 to $30 for an 18650 battery. So, and again, if you're not interested in a laser rangefinder, or you've got a budget that you're trying to stick in, I'll guarantee you the 640, the 384, going to be the best image quality that you can find on the market right now for 1699, or for the 640 by 512 is 2199. Best binoculars I've seen out there in the market. However, if you are looking for a little bit longer battery life, the cutting edge, you can get that in the Nocpix Vista for the 34.95, and
Yep.
kind
Yep.
of go from there. So, and last but not least, they also have come out with what they call the Nocpix Slim. And what the Slim is, this is a pretty unique deal. And it kind of takes me back to the beginning of thermals with quick disconnects on them, because kind of back in the day when they started adding the quick disconnect, I say back in the day, I talk like it was 30 years ago. It was just literally 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They came out with these, the scopes, and they got the quick disconnect. And the first thing that everybody thought is they'd call us up and they're like, man, I'm gonna buy this with that quick disconnect, and I'm gonna take it off my rifle when I'm out there in the dark, and I'm gonna scan around with it. And then if I see something, I can just pop it right back on my rifle and shoot. Well, the one thing that people didn't realize is it's not that easy in the dark to snap one back onto the same slot on the pick rail and get it to attach without making a whole bunch of noise. And when you've got a coyote running in at you, they're pretty quick, and the action's over in literally a split second, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
people realized that's probably not the easiest way to go about it, but it was amazing how many phone calls I took of guys that were going, that's how I'm going to do it. We've got a quick disconnect. I can snap it on the rifle, snap it off the rifle as easily as just slicker and snot. Well, it just didn't work out that way, right? So, along comes Nocpix with this slim. It is a small unit, comes in two different flavors, if you will. It's a L35 and an H35 again. The L again stands for the 384 by 288. It is a 3.5X base mag and comes in just under $2,000 at 1999. And then they've got the H35, which is a 640 by 512 version. It's a 2X base mag for 3,000. Okay. Sub 18 millikelvin on these, very respectable. It is a 50 hertz refresh rate, and they are using the f1.0 lens. So not quite as, quality of a lens as the units, some of the premier units up above, but they are definitely very nice for the price point. Um, and again, very good image out of these. But the huge advantage is what they call the two-in-one. They call it the slim two-in-one. You can actually use this as a monocular and as a scope. So what they did differently is they made a dual uh, lever quick disconnect. But not only can you quick connect it and disconnect it off of your Picatinny rail, you can connect it to your Picatinny rail and leave it there and then flip another level and just remove the monocular. So it's kind of a saddle where you can snap that right back in and connect it in very quickly and easily without having to try to figure out what Picatinny rail or what Picatinny slot that you had your scope in and make sure you're getting it in the same spot and tighten down. This makes it much quicker, much easier. Not only that, it does have a little lighted, it's not a powered, but it does have a little glow ring on top of it with a magnet so that you can feel that when you're out in the dark, you can feel it kind of snap in, and then you close the lever on it and it returns to zero. There's no reason to go out and have to resight in your rifle, but you can literally use this as a monocular while you're out there, scan around with it, snap it back on. It makes it quick and easy enough now to actually follow up and make your shot after you spot something. So kind of a dual purpose, and go from there. If you don't know that you're going to hunt all the time with you know a rifle and you want to use it for security around your home, if you want to throw it in the vehicle and just have it in your glove compartment box and pull it out once in a while when you want to scan a field or what have you, this is a great unit for doing that. It's a small unit. It does run off of an 18650 battery. It again, just a really really nice compact style unit. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else. It's very lightweight. I think it's only 500 grams. It doesn't feel like you're holding much. So
Right.
again, it's great, and it's just very comfortable in the hand as a monocular, and also great image quality for the scope. So um, a great dual purpose unit. It is a little bit more on the stripped down side of, big features. It does not have a laser rangefinder, and you cannot connect a laser rangefinder to it. There is no laser rangefinder option. But again, not really what this one was really meant to be. It was more meant to be that dual purpose. And what I get a lot of phone calls about is, hey, I've got, my scope, I'm happy with it, but I am looking for something with a little lower base magnification. If they're a coyote hunter, they've already got a scope with a 3 or a 3.5 or 4 power. base mag on their rifle, but now they want to go out and shoot some coons, right? Or what have you,
Yep.
stand at the base of a tree and do a little coon hunting and go from there. You could absolutely get the 640 by 512 for a reasonable price. It's a 2x base mag, so it's on that lower side. The great thing is you can use it as a monocular. You can then throw it on a maybe a 1022 if you want to, or what have you,
Yep.
and go out and use it that way, or even throw it on another rifle and use it as a buddy gun, right?
Right. Yep.
Or a buddy scope, and kind of go from there. So a very universal unit. Um, I will tell you, when I went down to the product release that they had back in September, we went down to Texas and viewed all the new products that were coming out. The Slim was probably one of my least favorite out of the stuff that came out. I was really, really stoked about that, the Nocpix Ace, and then also the Vista. And the Vista just blew me away. I was so excited that finally we had a good monocular that came out from from iRay or InfraRay. Even though it's under the Nocpix brand, I just
Right.
absolutely was stoked about it. And then, the Lumis, I've been just nothing but impressed with the Lumis as well. Again, a little bit more of a budget buy. Doesn't have all the frills and the all the huge, features in it, but again, image quality is it's awesome. So really can't say enough about this new Nocpix product that they've got out there, and go from there. So but having said all of that, if you are, I've got one last product to maybe discuss that probably going to be a little bit of a thorn in Drew's side because he keeps asking me to send one of these up to him, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. They've been selling pretty quickly, but if you're into getting a new scope, you may want to make sure you can keep that scope on aim and take long shots with it. Well, we've got a new product out, and actually a new partnership that we have come up with Leo Photo tripods. And we have actually collaborated with them on this new awesome tripod that they came out with. So everybody knows out there by now that most of your tripods, they're basically just camera tripods, right? That's what the original use was for them. That's what they were built to do. And this is Leo Photo's first crack at actually making strictly a um, a weapons platform, if you will. So, one of the things that they did is they said, "Listen, like, what would you like to have out of a tripod?" And with some of the tripods out there, they've got three, four sections to them. You got to raise and lower each section. We were really looking for something that had that inverted leg style, where
Yep.
you've got one section to adjust. That's it. Simple, easy. We wanted the strong twist locks to them. We wanted the thicker carbon fibers so that we could make sure that they were as stable could be. They've actually put 10 layers of carbon fiber into this new tripod. It actually will extend out to 68 inches tall. I had a gentleman here the other day, and like I literally literally had to look up to this guy because he was tall, and he's like, "Yep, I can't find any tripods that go tall enough, especially like your bog pods and stuff like that that
Yep.
so many people out there are using." He got behind it, and he's like, I need to lift this up," and I'm like, "It'll go tall enough," and he goes, "I doubt it." And he raised it up. He's like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like, "This one actually does go tall enough." So and again, he really loved that it had the 40 millimeter and the 36 millimeter tubes. And what they've done is they've actually taken that 40 millimeter tube, put it at the bottom, so you've got even added stability to it, and go from there. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh, but I can actually hang from the middle of it, and I will guarantee you that this one will hold a minimum of 250 pounds. So it again, Are you ever going to put 250 pounds on it? Probably not. But it just goes to show the stability of what this thing can do. And more importantly, it's one of the first tripods that they've made that the legs don't cross. So
Yeah.
if you're ever carrying your tripod out in the field and your legs start to cross on you, then they're poking into the ground and making it very difficult to carry and so forth. But these are definitely they won't cross. Very convenient, lightweight. Our tripods do. We've kind of gotten out of the ball heads, if you will. We do still carry ball heads, but the leveling bases have just really taken over the market. They're so much easier to control. There's less to them. There's less maintenance on them. And we've got their new 75 millimeter leveling base. And it's now got an integrated top plate with a pick rail and Arca Swiss plate, so it's universal. You can put either one on without changing anything. And the top plate is now integrated into the leveling base versus having a separate top plate. So that's a really, really cool feature. They're
Yep.
very heavy duty, stable, long range shooting capabilities with it. You want to shoot out to 500-600 yards, I'll guarantee you can be perfectly stable on one of these tripods, even with the heaviest of rifles out there. So the other great thing is, and that everybody looks for, is if you're gonna spend a bunch of money on a tripod, you want to make sure you're backed up by a great company with a great warranty, and it's one of the greatest warranties you can get, lifetime, right?
Yep.
It's a lifetime warranty, no questions asked. If you have issues, and the other thing that I love about Leo Photo is send it back to us. We can warranty it for you, and we'll take care of sending it back to them. You don't have to bother with shipping it to them. We will take care of you on the tripod. So that is a great deal that Leo Photo has allowed us to do, is do all the warranting right through our store here, and take care of the customer immediately when they have an issue. Um, again, it to me, it's one of the easiest tripods to use. It's so ridiculously easy that a lot of people look at it and they're just their minds are blown, because with a simple twist of a collar, you can literally move any direction you want with the tripod. You cinch that collar down, it's about a quarter of a turn, and it completely holds your rifle, and it's just super simple and easy to use. So great stuff there. And I will just tell you, it is definitely the best bang for the money guaranteed. If you can find a better tripod for less, send it back. We will refund you. We'll take care of you, and go from there. Now, the most important part that most people are probably wanting to know is, what's the price on it? Is it one of these 15, 16, maybe $1,200 tripods? Absolutely not. $799. That is a complete tripod with leveling base, your top plate, your legs, the best legs in the market, $799. It is a little bit on the higher end of what some people spend for a tripod, and I've even had several emails today. Is it better? Is it worth the money? At $799, absolutely 100% worth every penny. And if you're not satisfied with it, like I said, send it back and we will get you into whatever you do want to get into. So,
Right.
and I know Drew's really been hounding me to get one of these set up to him. The problem is, we've got limited numbers of them, but and they are selling pretty quickly. But I am going to get one up to you, Drew, so you can check this thing out and see how it goes for you. So, and I'm excited for you to get out and use it and
Yeah.
see
And I'm
how
gonna make a video and show everybody how good
there
it
you
is, how it works.
go.
Shoot some
So,
coyotes at 500 yards for you, and then say, "Here you go."
Exactly, exactly. So, the other beautiful thing about the tripod is with the leveling bases being so much lighter than the ball heads, this one comes in at just under, I'm sorry, just over 5 pounds. Uh,
Wow.
and so it's extremely lightweight. The leveling bases save a lot of weight. The ball heads are quite a bit heavier, and there's not really a whole lot of benefit, to them, unless you're maybe shooting off of the top of a 12-story building and you need to aim at the street.
Yeah.
Ball heads
Yep.
will be a little bit better for that. The leveling bases are 15 degrees either direction. I will tell you, all the hunting I've done up on hillsides, shooting down. I've never had a problem with the 15 degrees of angle that the leveling bases give you.
Yep. Me
And go
either.
from there. So, but that's one of the newest and greatest things that we've got here. Again, it's a collaboration with Leo Photo Tripods. Don't have to worry about Dark Knight Outdoors. If you want to warranty it through them, you can, or if you want to send it back directly to us, we'll take care of you on it and go from there. So if you have any questions on the Leo Photo Tripods, feel free to give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to discuss them with you further. And they are currently on our website right now as well too. So it, but Drew, I once again I thank you for having me on. One thing I will tell you about everything that we just covered, man, there's a lot of specs. There's a
Yep.
lot of changes. There's a lot of different things going on with thermal scopes today. These things are changing as fast as can be. It seems like every 6 months, something new's coming out makes
Yep.
something else somewhat obsolete, right? Um, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm just here to let everybody know we keep up on this technology at Dark Knight Outdoors. That's all we do, right? We don't sell guns, we don't sell ammo. We focus 100% on thermal scopes. If you guys ever have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. That's what we're here for. We're here. If you want to discuss your next thermal, make sure you're getting into the right product. That's what we do at DNO. Um, One thing that we pride ourselves on is word of mouth advertising out there. And what that means is that we've got to make sure that we're putting our customers into the right product and the best product for their actual needs. If you do call us up, don't plan on calling us and making a purchase within 5 minutes, because that's probably not going to happen. We're going to ask you a lot of questions about what you're doing, what your specific needs are, what your budget is, so on and so forth, and make sure that we're getting you into the right product. Not only that, we guarantee it, right? We guarantee what we recommend and don't sell you just what we have in stock or are overstocked on. I still today am sitting on some older bearing optics scopes, just because honestly the value's probably not there, and all honesty, I just can't sell it to somebody or recommend it to somebody if it's not the best scope for their money. Number one, we all work very hard for our money, and let's face it, these things aren't cheap.
Right.
So
Yep.
I absolutely want to make sure that everybody gets what they deserve for their money and go from there. So again, we won't recommend something that isn't the best value in the market for exactly what you're trying to accomplish, and go from there. The other thing is, we are open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. We do that just to be able to service our customers and make sure that if you're out hunting, that we can, take care of you if you have any issues and go from there. One other thing is, this year we've been extremely busy. If you call and we're on the line, we will call you back. Just know that we do have caller ID, and if you call, nobody answers. Most of the times, I will shoot you a text just letting you know that we will get back in touch with you. But if I do have a customer on the line, I do want to respect their time and give them as much time as they need to make their decisions and get all of their questions answered before I get off the call and take another one. And I'm going to do the same for you when we get on the line as well. One other thing is, if we ship something to you outside Illinois, we don't charge any sales tax, and it is free shipping. And bottom line is, we'll match any competitor's price out there. Any coupons that they have, if they're advertising it, we'll beat it. So um, we're one of the few thermal companies out there that stock all the different major brands and that actually makes accessories for most scopes out there. Um, so once again, we're looking through all of these scopes. We're using the majority of them in the field. Um, if there's just slight variations of the scope, sometimes we don't use them all, but we hunt with them, we use them, we compare them, and go from there. Um, and last but not least, again, Drew, I really appreciate you having us on. But I do have $100 off coupon for the first 15 people who call and order a new Leo Photo tripod or any of the Nocpix thermals that we've talked about today. So you're going to want to use a coupon code. It is PP100 and it is stands for Predator Podcast 100, but that will give you $100 off the 799 tripod, bringing it down to 699, or any of the Nocpix thermals. We're more than happy to give you a whirl at them and give you a little extra discount on those scopes for mentioning the Predator podcast and for sticking with us today. I certainly appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, you definitely can't beat that $100 off. I mean, that's tough to beat. I appreciate you doing that for us, Jamie, and hopefully people are going to jump on that and take advantage of that and get a tripod or one of the new Nocpix scopes in hand or scanners because they're sweet and I've heard a lot of good things about it. And I can say, from experience working with Jamie now for going on 2 years, it's like we were out on a stand the other night and we were having some questions about one of the settings on the IRA Finder. Literally got back into the truck. I turned the phone on speakerphone, called Jamie. I'm like, hey, can you help us with this setting? And he literally pulled up, oh, let me look. And he pulled up, told us the setting. Boom, we had it fixed, and we were ripping on to the next stand in 5 minutes. And that is just something like, obviously I've worked with you long enough now, and I chose to work with you for these reasons, and I just can't reiterate it enough of the service and the quality that you guys provide. And that's, again, that's why I chose to be with you guys and why we formed such a great partnership. So I can vouch for him 100%, and I can with confidence push anybody and everybody to you.
Oh, I appreciate that for sure. There's nothing more frustrating than getting out there and getting on a stand and you can't get your monocular to stay on or what have you, or you get a little setting a little bit out of whack and you can't figure it out.
Yep.
I've literally same story as what you just had another gentleman that's bought a lot of thermals from us call me up one night after he switched over to believe it was the iRay Bolt 640. And he's like, man, I love this scope. But dude, he's like, I'm out here. He called me at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just happened to still be up. I'm a night owl, right? So I answer the phone and he goes, oh my gosh. He goes, I didn't expect you to answer the phone. He's like, I thought, I would just get your voicemail. He's like, we're already on our way back home, but he's like, the reticle in my scope it just disappeared. And I said, I started laughing. I'm like, well, it's probably because you turned it off. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, like the reticle's actually missing. And I'm like, right, you can turn it off. And he's like, why in the world would I want to turn it off? And I'm like, I don't know, but this is what you do. Take and hold these two buttons for 50. He's like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, hold on a second, we're pulling over. So he grabs his rifle and he does what we said, and he's like, oh my god, the reticle's back. He's like, I am so sorry for calling you this late. He's like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And so he called me the next day and he's like, man, he's like, I'm really sorry that I called you that late. I said, absolutely not. If you're having issues, give us a call. If I'm awake, I'm going to answer the phone, right?
Yep.
And absolutely. And he's like, well, I just wanted to let you know. He's like, we were headed home for the night because we thought we were going to have to send the scope in because there was no reticles in it. He's like, we went out and shot two more coyotes. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah, you
that's
can't
really
beat that.
good. No, really, yeah. So he's like, he's like, we were headed home and we had it in our heads that we're going home for the night. And he said, literally, we're like, wait a minute, why are we going home? My scope's fixed. We can go out and on again. So they went out and he says we went out and he said we had time to do one more stand and he's like, we got two coyotes out of it. So he's like, I'm really happy that you answered the phone and that's what we're here for. We're all hunters. You know, guys don't have to be better than the next guy. We can all help each other, and we can all learn from each other. I'm still learning every day. Every day I learn something new, and that's what's great about Sharon and the camaraderie of the hunters out there. And I mean, I even learned from my own customers that call me up and said, hey, I had this experience and went through this, and I had to do this or that. And I'm like, man, I never thought about that before. That's really
Yeah.
cool,
Yep.
and go from there. I mean, one of the key things that we do to kind of speed up time out there in the field is just attaching a green dot laser to the side of your rifle so that when you shoot one, you can line up the green dot laser onto a coyote and you walk straight out to it, and you've got a visible light all the way out to where you shot the coyote. You can retrieve it much quicker
Yep.
and save yourself a whole lot of time and heartache. It's really tough walking around out there in the dark. You
Yeah.
think you headed to the right spot and you're completely off. So, but there's a lot of different little tricks that you can do and to make everything a lot more stealthy, if you will, or just make yourself a lot more successful out there in the field.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And that's, part of the reasons why I do this podcast too, is just to help people and, talk hunting, share stories, share tips and tricks, and hopefully everybody comes together and has success. So it's
Absolutely.
one of my favorite parts about the sport. And yeah. So Jamie, anything else that you want to add before we close it up?
No, just appreciate you, appreciate what you guys do, and the help you do provide, and the platform that you give us to talk about all these new products. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to give us a call. Again, we're open 8 to 9, 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can reach us at 309-781-8421. If I don't answer, one of my associates probably will. Garrett's one of our guys that does a really good job for us. Be able to answer any questions for you and go from there. But no, feel free to give us a shout, guys, whenever you're looking for your next thermal or any thermal accessories, and we'll do what we can to help you out.
Awesome. All right, I'll put links in the description below so you guys can find these new Nocpix items and the new tripod. So you guys can check that out. And yeah, feel free to send me a message if you got a question for me. And yeah, you can't go wrong. Call Jamie. He'll help you through any buying process that you might need or the questions or the details. I'm not a big spec wizard either, but I know that Jamie is, so that's helpful. And when if you are a spec wizard, just call him. He'll give you every spec and number that you want to know, and can tell you a side by side comparison or what he thinks. So it's really hard to beat. And yeah, I would encourage anybody that's in the market to check it out and give him a call.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, guys, big shout out. Thank you to Jamie from Dark Knight Outdoors for joining me. I always love having him on the podcast. He's just a wealth of knowledge, knows the ins and outs, the specs, and all the things about the thermals that are going to help you on your next hunt. So if you guys are in the market, check them out. The tripod deal, the Nocpix stuff, it's awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on some of it myself and test it out in the field And you guys will have to keep in touch with me if you got questions. Always find me on Instagram, Predator Podcast _Drew, and find my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and I plan on putting out more and more videos out on there. So check it out, and thank you guys for listening. But we'll be back next week for another episode of the Predator Podcast. But until then, shoot straight.